Welcome to the Morningstar series, Why Should I Invest With You? I'm Holly Black. With me is Harriet Parker. She's an investment manager at Liontrust. Hello.
Hello.
So you're on the sustainable team.
Yes. At
Liontrust. There's a lot of ways to go about sustainable investing, and it's quite a buzzword at the moment. But what does it mean at Liontrust? How do you go about it?
Well, for us, it's all about investing in companies that make a positive contribution to society and environment alongside making strong investment returns.
And you kind of argue that although it's crept up the news agenda, the idea of a sustainable economy is not actually anything new. You've been looking at it for a long time.
Yes, we have. And I think really, we don't think it's anything particularly new. It's really just a continuation of some of the trends that we've seen over, many decades. And if we look at some of these trends, as economies grow and develop, they develop to become cleaner and healthier and safer. And these three kind of broad trends are very kind of persistent. So just taking, looking at kind of things like air pollution, in London we're told that, the air quality is very bad, but actually if you look, the pollution levels are only a tenth of what they were, say, 25 years ago in London. So there has been quite a lot of improvement there. And also when we look at metrics that to do with people's quality of life, surviving cancer and rates there have got much more improved, as our childhood mortality figures, and there's lots of really positive stories there too. And in many areas, things have got safer. So driving a car now, there's a lot less road deaths and fatalities than there were, say, a couple of decades ago due to improved safety standards. So I'm not trying to say that everything's done, but at the same time, we see that these are very persistent trends and that we think they're going to continue for decades to come.
And as an investor, obviously, some companies are doing better at these things than others. How do you work with companies to make them change even more for the better?
I think it's about using our rights, really, as shareholders in companies to improve practices. It helps, I think, if you're a manager that understands the business well. So our integrated approach means that the analysts and fund managers on the teams are responsible for all aspects relating to an investment decision. So that's looking at the theme behind the company, that's looking at the sustainability characteristics, but also the financial modelling and predicting kind of future cash flows and things like that. So with that in mind, we think that we're well placed to be able to talk to a company. What we try and do is we try and have a good relationship with companies, and for us, we think that there's very little that's ever happened, in terms of engagement success on one particular meeting, and it's about talking to companies, building relationships with them, so that they're more able to trust us and listen to suggestions that we have, and we understand the asks that we're making in the context of kind of the wider business strategy.
So, what are a couple of examples of engagements that have worked, that have been particular successes for you?
One company we've been engaging with over the last couple of years is a UK consumer company, and we were talking to them about their timber sourcing policies, and engagement over the last couple of years has kind of really seen a lot of positive progress. So the company has done a lot with its suppliers and procurement policies, and it has worked with us and also kind of an expert NGO in the space to really have a much better policy in place, and to also to have more certified timber coming from its supply chains too.
Do you ever threaten to divest as a way to encourage change?
It's not our first port of call. Very often we will try to use our voting policy. So, for instance, we have a policy at the moment where we will vote against the chair of the nominations committee, where there is fewer than 15% females on the board, for instance. So rather than saying we're not going to invest in your company because we don't think there's a strong female representation on the board, board, we will use our votes to do that, and we will also talk to companies as well. But there are some instances where if we really don't think that the company is listening to us and we think that there's particular risks involved, then we will divest, and we have divested in the past. And what we look at is we look for strong management quality, and we feel that if a company is not looking at a particular issue that we think is pertinent and material, then perhaps it's not also looking at other issues of business relevance as well.
Harriet, thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
And thanks for joining us.